Okay, these lives are a lot easier for me now because Tuesday and Thursday nights are the same. I was getting confused. I confuse easy. So now it's the same time every Tuesday and Thursday night, my time, Pacific time. There's a live on Instagram, and then 5:30 I switch over to TikTok. The whole hour is on YouTube, though. That's where these are saved. Um, they are saved temporarily in Instagram, but then the person who does my Instagram for me, they take it down and they use it and do stuff. I don't know what they do. Anyway, so it is up for a very short period of time on Instagram afterwards. Okay, so let's get going with your parenting questions. If you go in the link above, you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can hire me for coaching. That's all in the link above. And I'm doing my best to get through questions on and comments and all that too. But if it's a question where you want a parenting answer, I won't usually answer that in there because I want it to apply to everybody. So I'll do a video on it. So I'm just sort of checking in to see what I should be doing videos on. Or if you're asking about my coaching or my courses or something, I'll answer that. But if it's a parenting question, I sort of save that for these lives, or I get ideas and then I do a video because I can't answer them all. You can just imagine I would be on here. I'd probably be working 6 hours a day just answering all the comments and direct messages. Okay, how do you parent if you're divorced? Actually, I did a course years ago. It was a seminar. It was in-person seminar called Parenting Through Divorce because I'm divorced, so I understood that. And so anyway, I said to these people, I said, what I want you to do is you turn up in the parking lot, meet your ex, just you two. Don't bring your girlfriends and boyfriends along. Just you, the two parents, turn up, meet in the parking lot, walk down the hallway together and sit together. They were fighting in the parking lot, fighting in the hallway, and then fight when they sat down together, they were fighting. And here was me at the front of the class like this. I'm disgusted with you people. I was so disgusted that I said, you fight like this in front of your kids? Anyway, because my ex and I never fought, like we never fought in front of the kids or anything. So you just don't do that to your children. They don't give a crap if you like each other. They just care that you get along. So yeah, you take the high road. I don't care what your ex, most people say, my ex is a narcissist. It's the latest thing. They say that. And I say, I don't care. You take the high road. Takes two to fight. So don't fight with your ex. Certainly never in front of the kids, okay? Put your kids first. I never think of my ex as my ex. I'm really lucky that way. Completely eliminated all those memories. He's the father of my children. So look at it that way. That's the father of your children or the mother of your children. So just take the high road, put your kids first. You can't go wrong. Even if one person's doing it, it's better than no one doing it. So yeah, it's tricky. It's just tricky. We were always on the same page. So yeah, we always put the kids first. That's all we did. If we ever did clash with anything, it would be what's best for the kids. So, and we still turned up to everything together. Yeah, so a united front. You chose that person. You chose to have kids with that person. Your kids didn't choose that. You did. So you have to make the most of it. What do you do with a 3-year-old that gives up easily or won't try new things? Just encourage them for trying. That it would imply to me that winning is a big deal in your household, because winning shouldn't be the goal. My mom used to say, and I was in my 50s and my brother was in my 60s. She always said, "You're such good sports." She hated poor sports. She goes, "You're such good sports. We play to win, but we don't care if we win." My mom used to always say, "It's how you play, not if you win or lose." She said, "I'd rather lose and play well than win and play poorly." She didn't like luck. She liked effort. So she always emphasized the trying, the playing. So that's what I'm suggesting. Maybe you make too big of a deal out of winning, potentially. Nothing wrong with losing. It's trying. My kids, if they tried something, I go, "Oh, good on you. Way to go." The harder it is and the worse they were at it, the more congratulations they got. You know? Don't just try things you know you're going to be great at. Tantrums and hitting. Okay, I have 2 courses you might be interested in. 19 months old. That one is toddlers who hit, and one is tantrum busting. But if they're only hitting during tantrums, you don't need the toddlers who hit one, because if they hit just during a tantrum, that's just the tantrum course. It addresses that. But if they just hit to get their own way, that's a completely separate method. Okay. So yeah, check out those mini courses. It goes into great detail about how you deal with that. Oh gosh, I get asked this. I hate this question. I'm going to read it out loud. I'm going to tell you why I hate it. I get it every day. I get it several times a day. Advice on having a toddler and a baby at the same time. My least favorite thing to deal with in coaching. Do you know why? It's probably the thing I can help you with the least. How on earth you're breastfeeding and you got a toddler running out the door? What am I supposed to tell you? Like, it's just physically demanding. Work on your fitness, because it's physical. It just is. There's not much you can do. They eventually get used to having that new baby around, but initially it's going to be a really difficult physical adjustment period for everybody. Nothing I can help you with. Yeah, it's my least favorite question because I can't help you. What am I supposed to say to that? What, people who have advice, sure, you can try it, but I've never come across anything that's worked. How on earth you'll have a new baby in the hospital. Here's your toddler. Oh, I love you. And you're going, oh, what a precious big sister she's going to be. Get home, and she picks up the baby out of a bassinet and throws it on the floor. She's like, oh, you didn't tell me that thing was coming home. They have no concept of how their lives are going to change. And they end up hating that baby initially, and then they just get used to having it around. They go through stage after stage after stage. So yeah, sir, I can't help you with that. Listen, I could lie, but I can't help you with that. How do you deal with constant tantrums at nap and bedtime? Well, they're overtired, so you just get them in bed and you just ignore it. You just get them in bed and just ignore the tantrum. I actually have a bedtime battles course. If you're interested, check that out. And also you might want to look at they're just mini courses. And then also check out the tantrum one potentially. But if it's right at nap time and bedtime, they're probably overtired. So you don't deal with a tantrum. Okay, there's two different reasons why they tantrum. One is you're not meeting their needs, and the other one is you're not meeting their wants. You ignore a tantrum when you're not meeting their wants. Like, I want that iPad now. You ignore that tantrum. But if they're tantruming because they're overtired, you just follow through and you feed them, you get them to bed, you meet their needs. Okay, so it's a little bit different. But if they're having tantrums just for the sake of having tantrums, that's the tantrum busting course in the link above. Did that make any sense? I felt like I was yammering on about nothing. Anyway, sometimes I do that. You are a gift. Thank you. Oh, well, thank you very much. Someone on YouTube said I'm a gift. Okay. Toddler tantrums and hitting. I was just addressing that. There's two different like if they're hitting during a tantrum, check out my tantrum busting course. If they're hitting outside of a tantrum, check out the tantrum course and the toddlers who hit course. There are two completely different methods how you deal with it. If they're hitting during a tantrum, they're out of their mind anyway, so it's dealt with differently. 2-year-old throwing food while eating on the table. As soon as they throw food, you say no. You pick it up, throw it in the garbage, and then hand feed them. They may not eat another bite for the rest of that meal because they're too busy having a fit because they don't want to be hand fed. So just hand feed them. They can go without one meal, okay? They're going to survive. They can have a snack in a half hour or an hour. You got to follow through with this lesson, though. You teach them when they throw food, they get hand fed. And they'll go, no, they'll have a fit. That's okay. You got to go. Well, you got to embrace these scenes. Those are your opportunities to exercise your leadership. That's when you need to be really calm, is when they have a scene. That is them processing your leadership. That's them processing, not getting what they want, when they want, and how they want it. That's what a scene is all about. So look at it that way. Embrace it. I just did videos on that. Let me just check that out. When did I do a video? Oh, shoot. This is Instagram. Sorry. I do TikTok, and I have someone else who does my Instagram. And they just pick the gems out of TikTok. So not all my TikToks end up on Instagram. So I don't want to promise that that'll end up on here. But I've done a lot of videos on that. So check out my TikTok for that. Forgot what I was talking about. Anyway. What do I do when my 21-month-old breaks something? Okay, well, that's kind of normal. That's what they're going to do. 20-month-old, you expect them to understand precious crystal and that? That's, Okay, so number one, these are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1 is for you. Child-proof your home so you never have to say no. And, don't allow them to have precious things that they can break. Number 2 is set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is when you want to connect with a toddler, you enter their world. You don't go to the nail salon with a 2-year-old, you go to the park and roll down the hill with them. Number 4 is when you want to discipline a toddler, you enter their world. They're all about actions. So you use consistent corrective actions to correct bad behavior. You don't use words. The mini therapy sessions discussing all the big feelings, it's garbage. I know it's trendy right now, but it was just invented to make the mom feel good. It has nothing to do with the toddler. Anyway, and number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're just forming. They've just got one marble and some tumbleweed in there. They're cute as a button, but they're all feet, no brains. They're just forming. They might even go like this and smear poop on the wall. Toddlers will do that sometimes. Don't try and figure that one out. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Okay. How do you choose your first rule for behavior board for 4-year-old? Mine is no yelling. Yeah. If you yell, your rule on that behavior board, which is free in the link above, your rule is always no yelling. If they hit, their rule is always no hitting. Always. So you address your yelling, their hitting. You never put down no yelling with a child. It's ridiculous. It's just impossible. So it's expecting too much, and it's in the attitude department. So you never put down anything like that. It's all about actions. So it can just be make your bed. Pick something easy. If you're working with me, we'll pick something harder. But if you're doing it on your own, you pick a battle, and that first week you know you can win. Make your bed every morning before 10 a.m. or there's a consequence. Then they have to maybe help you with laundry. If they don't do that, then 24-hour media blackout. So you check it all out. Behavior board explains all that. So yeah, just pick something easy. It's not about what it is. It's about your showing that you know how to make this work. You know how to set down a rule and a consequence. You know how to teach children how to be accountable. It doesn't really matter what's on there. Okay, it's not what that's about. It's about teaching you how to be a leader. If you really want the next level up, that's the boot camp course. The next level up after that is coaching one-on-one with me, which I won't be doing forever. I'm getting older. Okay. So Jacinia Ramirez, you've been on here before, haven't you? She's on YouTube. She said, tips to keep 6 kids busy, age 12 to 1-year-old. That's systems. Get systems in place. We're going to do this at this time, this at that time. Here's your area. You've got to organize your whole house. Set it up look up daycare organization systems, classroom organization systems. Look for those institutions, how they set things up, how they manage large groups of kids. The biggest family I ever worked with that I can remember, because I've been doing this for like 17 years, I think they had 8 kids, and it was just system after system after system. And I explained how, because I've spent so much time in classrooms, I explained how classrooms are run and, all these systems in place. So systems. If consistent corrective action isn't working and they're closer to 3 than 2, turns 3 in February, what's the next step? I don't like to recommend the behavior board under the age of 3, because 3 is when they can just start getting it. But if it's not working, you're missing something. There's something, you must not be consistent, because, and I had a question just this, I actually answered all my questions, not all of them, but I answered a lot of messages today on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Anyway, I got to a lot of them, and one of them was that they said, well, the consistent corrective action isn't working. She said, we're consistent most of the time, or something like that. It's got to be 100% of the time. You pick one battle, though. You can't be consistent with everything. Pick one battle that you want to win and master it. Be consistent with just that one thing. It's better to get one thing perfect than everything a little bit not that great. Nothing's going to work. It has to be every single time. They don't remember the times you did it right. They remember the one time you did it wrong. They just do. I remember once my son, was very funny. He's 34 now. Actually, he's got a kid coming along in a couple of weeks, my first grandchild. Anyway, I remember once he said, we were laughing at all the dumb things I did as a mother. So, because I've done a lot of dumb things, right? I'm really goofy. So he said, yeah, I remember the time you did that. And I said, what about all the great stuff I did? And he went, what? Like, they don't remember that. He remembered all these dumb things I did and all the mistakes I made. Then I asked him what great things I did. Huh? What? They remember when you mess up. They love it. It's funny. So. Yeah. Okay. Here again. How can I teach my 2-year-old daughter to stop crying when I leave her by herself? Just keep doing it. She'll eventually stop. That's like separation anxiety. You don't stop the separation anxiety. It'll just peter out. The less attention you give it, the quicker it'll peter out. It'll just go away. So, yeah, and I don't quite know what you mean by leave her by herself. You mean, like, what are you doing? You going to the bar and you're leaving her home alone? I don't know what you mean by leave her by herself. I don't know what you mean by that. Okay, 3-year-old, whenever sad, gets sad or angry, shuts down and throws a fit, refusing to move or stop. Okay, they're 3 years old. They can be on that behavior board. It's the start of your leadership skills. When children have a leader from the age of, especially by 3.5, it tends to calm them down. They don't tend to pitch fits or be sad or anything. They're just happier with a leader because they feel safe. So work on your leadership skills, because those emotions will calm down if you're a really good leader. Check out the boot camp course. It starts at the age of 3. It's all about your leadership. When your children who have a calm leader their emotions tend to be regulated. They just do. Makes them feel safe. So I'm just zipping ahead here. Oops, a whole bunch of questions. I always forget. I'm quite new on Instagram, and I forget the lives. They don't scroll for me. I have to do it all by myself. So, and I don't want to answer older questions because those people might have already left. People come and go in lives all the time. Okay, so you got a 6-year-old lying. Use the behavior board and put down no lying. When you catch him in a lie, then you say, okay, here's the consequence for that lie. He'll just eventually learn to stop lying. So it's worse to lie than it is to like, actually, I used to say to my kids, I'll be more upset with you if you lie rather than you tell me what you did. Then they'd say, so if I tell you what I did wrong, will I not get in trouble? I said, no, you'll still get in trouble. There'll be a consequence, but it'll be worse if you lied about it and then I caught you out. So yeah, just put down no lying on the behavior board and go from there. Okay. Okay, there's a whole bunch of stuff on here about toddlers, and I'm going to go through this again. And then I'm going to bring up some stuff with older kids because there's a whole bunch of stuff on toddlers. And my answer is kind of always the same. It's number 5 on my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Stop trying to figure them out. Everyone's trying to correct their toddler. Toddlers are crazy. They're just forming. You're trying to corral them. You don't corral toddlers. You figure yourself out. Child-proof your home. Get a toy rotation system going. Bond with them by going to the park and rolling down the hill with them. When you are disciplining them, it's consistent corrective actions, and stop trying to figure them out. Stop trying to control your toddler. It's impossible. You control the environment and you control yourself. You don't control the toddler. They're uncontrollable. Gee, that's a good one. I'm going to do a video on that. If I do say so myself. Stop trying to control a toddler. How should I word that? Stop trying to, sorry, I have to get this done. A toddler, instead, control their environment and yourself. That's a good one, isn't it? I'll do a whole video on that. So I'm not going to answer some of those questions because I'm going to do a video. And I've got a video, how to discipline a toddler. I know that's on Instagram. That's one of my most recent videos, how to discipline a toddler. Check that out because there's no point wasting time going through all that when it's already in a video. Congratulations about becoming grandmother. Yeah, I'm excited about it, but it's nothing like parenting. I knew someone years ago, decades ago, and she loved mothering as much as I did. We wallowed in it. Like, it was the most fun I ever had. And she had like 10 grandkids or 12 or more. She had tons of grandkids. And I said, what's it like being a grandmother? And she goes, it's wonderful. You love them just as much. But she goes, it's not as good because you have to hand them back. And I know that'll be me. Like, I'll be like this in the hospital. My son's going to say, can I have my daughter back? I'm going to go, no. Like, you have to hand them back. How is being a grandparent anywhere near as good as being a parent? It's kind of like renting a car compared to owning one. You know, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm nowhere near as excited as I was about mothering. I had mothering, parenting, like up. I was always wanted to be a mom. I had it built up like it was up here, and everyone kept warning me, you know, it's a lot of work, Lisa. It's not as much fun as you think. It was 10 times more fun than I thought because I already knew how to get respect. So I got all that pesky discipline out of the way, and then I just sailed through and had fun with my kids. You can do that too. That's what I teach here. That's what leadership gives you, so you can relax and have fun with your kids. It's all about having fun. Get that pesky discipline out of the way. I am excited about being a grandmother, don't get me wrong. They haven't told us the name yet. My name's Lisa, so I keep calling her Lisa Jr. But yeah, I don't think that's going to be it. I don't want it to anyway, but I just thought that was funny. Okay. You don't stop your toddler from throwing himself on the floor when he doesn't get what he wants. You don't. Yeah, I just explained this. Stop trying to control a toddler. Instead, control their environment and yourself. They're going to keep doing that. They're nuts. They're crazy. If they're going to bang their head on the floor, get the foam helmet for them or just intervene and restrain them. But you can't stop them. They'll get tired of it, but you can't stop them from you can't stop a toddler from being crazy. Ooh, that's another good one. Just a sec. Ah, can't stop a toddler from being crazy. If I don't write these down now, I'll forget and I won't do the video. Um, yeah, everyone wants to stop the toddler from doing things. You can't. You just control yourself and the environment. And I know that's just lack of experience with toddlers. I know that. That's why I know you're asking this. So I'm not being condescending. I'm educating you. They are not controllable. Toddlers are going to do what they're going to do. They might smear poop on the wall. They might bang their head on the corner of a coffee table. They might throw the new baby on the floor. You just got to watch them like a hawk. They are just crazy. They just haven't formed yet. They're brand new, fresh human beings. Oh my goodness, you're going to hate my answer. My 3.5-year-old refuses to leave house with grandparents for daycare until we entertain him. Oh, he's got you trained. He is in charge. There's no way I would entertain him because he wouldn't leave. He's 3.5 years old. There's no way I would entertain him. He can demand, shoot, I just lost it. And then you said he can demand, what was it? Ah, sugar, I lost it. Oh, there's too many. I can't scroll back that far. Anyway, yeah, he's got you trained. You might want to check out my boot camp course. It teaches you how to be a leader. There's no way I would give in to that. He is. He knows who's boss, and it's not you. So, yeah. Yeah, sorry. Okay, I followed your advice on leadership on a child in my daycare who was 1 years old and wants to be on the hip all the time. And wow, this kid really is like a brand new person. I have no idea what I told you because I don't give daycare advice. So you must have asked as if it was your child because I don't know anything about teaching or daycaring. I just teach parent-child relationships. So yeah, great, excellent. I don't know what advice I gave you, but anyway. Okay, what are consequences about connection? Wouldn't that be reinforcing? What are consequences about connection? What? Wouldn't that be reinforcing? I don't know what you mean. What do you mean? Maybe you could explain that. I can't guarantee I'll see what you're going to say, but I'll look for it. How do you do constant corrective behavior when the toddler pushes chairs over? I can't take the chairs away as it's not a toy. I would put them up on top of the table, or I would barricade that area. And I'm very slow and very methodical when I'm doing stuff like that. They can be running around like the Tasmanian devil. I'm just holding them and I'm putting stuff away and I'm be very, very calm. You got to take charge of this stuff. You give your toddlers way too much power over you. Think about it. They're this big. They're tiny little human beings. They're just nuts. They're just forming. So you're giving them a lot of power. Well, I can't answer this. Does it change a toddler when living in a homeless shelter? I can't answer that because I don't know your situation. That's more of a specialty kind of question. So if you want my work, if you're living in a homeless shelter, you're probably not going to hire me. But anyway, that would be coaching. I've dealt with all sorts of issues with kids who've been abused, kids who've been tossed around in foster homes, and I've worked with all those kids. So I know, but toddlers are very resilient. They don't tend to remember stuff. So. Do you think using housework as a consequence might develop? What you're going to say is they're going to hate doing housework. It's, oh God, I want to do a whole speech right now. Who cares if they hate doing housework? People say, I want them to think it's fun. It's that you don't want to make everything fun for children because then they never learn to do the crappy stuff. You don't always try. That's that please your parents style. When you want to make everything fun and easy for your children, you want to roll out the red carpet. So you try and make housework even fun, homework fun. No, I used to say to my kids, some things are horrible to do, but you got to learn to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. And if they're doing housework as a consequence, they do something bad, then they have to correct it with something good. It's about a good deed. You broke the rule, you did something bad, now you're going to correct it by doing something good. Don't get caught up in this. Don't overthink that. So yeah, they might end up hating housework. They probably will anyway. So actually, I love it. I love cleaning. I always did. No, Neither my kids don't though. A negative towards caring for the home. Yeah, you're overthinking it. You're overthinking it. They say parenting starts in the womb. Is it true? If yes, how does it? Well, parenting, that's a very different connotation of parenting. They can start to build connection and feel loved, perhaps in the womb. I don't know. But parenting, maybe you could say it starts with conception or even before that. I mean, I don't know. That's that age old question. When does life start? When does, I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. But I'll tell you, you do know personality traits. Here was my son. He was inside me, and when he would put, how they put that heel up into your solar plexus, and like that, I would push his foot back down, and he would push against it and spin around like crazy forever. He didn't come out super active, but he was more like he had tantrums. He had a temper. And so I thought, oh, he's going to have tantrums. I knew right away. My daughter, same thing. I'd push her foot down. She'd pull her foot in, and she wouldn't move for ages. And I thought, oh, she's never going to have a tantrum. She never did. So you can tell if they've got tempers when they're inside the womb. Or I could anyway. I don't know if that's true for every kid, but I could tell. Well, maybe I was just lucky. I thought, yeah, he's going to have a tantrum. Yeah, he did. How to get respect. You can look in the link above. The behavior board is completely free. My course is the boot camp course. It teaches you how to get respect in 5 weeks. That's not free. And then the next level up is coaching one-on-one with me. It's all done one Zoom per week usually. But yeah, teaches you how to be a leader. Leader is more about connecting with the kids than discipline. Discipline is a tiny part of parenting. It's more about bonding with them and connect. You want to be like a mentor, like a fun coach, someone that they really like and they have fun with. That's what you want. That's what a leader is. They want to be with you. They like themselves when they're with you. Their self-esteem increases when they're with you. You bring out the best in them. And then they want to please you. They'd be embarrassed to be rude to a leader. Could you imagine if a kid has a teacher that they really like, a favorite teacher, a favorite coach? Would they ever be rude to that person? Never. That's what a leader parent is like that. You're fun. You love kids. You bring out the best in them. And they want to please you. Because they like themselves when they're with you. It's about getting them to like themselves, not you. Liking you is a byproduct, but your number one goal is you want kids to like themselves. I used to work with troubled teens, and they'd said to me, I didn't even like myself till I met you. That's what I did for them. I made them like themselves, and then I got great behavior. They treated me like gold. Not initially. I had to work for you. You have to earn this. I had to earn it. If you have a toddler who hits, check out my Toddlers Who Hit course. It's a mini toddler course. It's up in the link above. I've learned so much from listening to your advice. My husband and I have been actively using your tools, and they have been working wonders for us with our almost 4-year-old. Excellent. Thank you so much. You're very, very, very welcome. That's why I do these lives. I get this stuff a lot. You should see the messages I get. This stuff just works. And if it doesn't resonate with you, just say, I hate her, and move to someone else. Find someone who resonates with you, and then just follow their path. Because if you were to pick and choose what you like from different parenting experts, it wouldn't work. It's like a diet. You got to pick a path and go with it. Like if you were to throw timeout into my stuff, it wouldn't work because I teach respect. I think timeout's mean. I just did a video on that actually on TikTok. I think timeout's mean. I hate it. I think it's humiliating. So I don't like to humiliate kids. So yeah, I can't stand it. Oh, very smart. I did ask as if he was my child, haha, because I tell people to do that. A lot of my clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists, and I say, if you want help with clients and students, you have to pretend you're the parent. And some of them have done that. So, 3 kids less than 7 years old are quiet in public, but very loud at home and hitting one another. Okay, so they're good when they're out and not when they're home. It doesn't make any sense to me. No, that doesn't add up to me. That doesn't make sense to me. Now, when you say in public, you mean at school when there's someone else in charge, or just with you? If it's just you and you're out in public and they're great and then you come home and they're not, that makes no sense at all to me. What's the difference? Kids don't care if they're out or not. So is it when someone else is in charge that they're good, and when you're in charge, they're not? I would need to know that, because otherwise it makes no sense at all to me. Like, not to say you're not making sense, but the way I'm reading it isn't making sense to me. Okay, actually, I have to get going. Yeah, I'm doing my live on TikTok now. I'm switching over, and my live is the whole hour is on YouTube, but the first half hour is on Instagram. The second half hour is on TikTok. Go on my link above if you want to see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or if you want to hire me for coaching services. That's all in the link above. Otherwise, you can follow me over to TikTok now. Bratbusters Parenting on TikTok. Okay, sorry, YouTube. I'm just switching over. It just takes a second here. Bum, 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 bum. And live and go. Okay. Instagram name is Bratbusters Parenting. I'm Bratbusters Parenting everywhere. My big audience is TikTok. My second biggest audience is Instagram. Facebook, I just started working on that. That's going well, Facebook. And then YouTube, haven't really figured out YouTube yet. I'll start concentrating on YouTube. I just haven't figured it out yet. I don't do anything. I just do TikTok. I've got someone else who does the other ones. Okay. So I'm assuming you just came over. Geez, yeah, I am. You're here like all the time. I am. There's a couple people who are here all the time. I am. Welcome back. I feel like I know you, but I don't know you. Okay, so I'm Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you'll see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my boot camp course, which is 3 to 12 years old, or my coaching. That's all in the link above. And let's get going with your parenting questions. I just came over from Instagram, and the whole live is done on YouTube. So a whole hour on YouTube, half hour Instagram, the other half hour TikTok. I split them up. And I've got them Tuesday and Thursday nights the same time now. I don't know why I had it at different times, and it's so messed up. So it's every Tuesday and Thursday night at 5 p.m. on Instagram, 5:30 on TikTok, and the whole hour is on YouTube. Whew. Okay. Going to be a first-time mom in March. I'm soaking in every word you say. Okay. The most important, best advice that I can give you as a new mom is, oh, that's really sweet, March. That's nice. Is the best advice I can give you is, especially for the first 3 months, mom and baby, happy and healthy. Don't focus on anything else because you're going to miss out on the fun stuff. Baby sleeps, you sleep. Don't worry if you haven't showered all day. I had a real stench going once. I didn't shower all day, and this is in Australia where I had my kids. It was like 46 degrees Celsius. I had summer babies in Australia. What a nightmare. Anyway, there was no cuddling, I'll tell you. I was just holding them like this and we're dripping in sweat. But yeah, I remember one day, oh my God, I didn't shower all day. And so I just, I was able to relax and enjoy the baby. So yeah, don't worry about anything else. And also don't look at those pretty moms on Instagram, those ones who look so beautiful and they've got all the filters now. Look up mom fails. Look up parenting fails, the funny ones. Look that up. You'll feel like $1 million when you see all that, because that's the reality. I remember once I turned up to a lunch with friends and I had baby poop on my forehead. And my friend said, we were all mums. And she said, is that baby poop on your forehead? And I went, yeah, of course. That's parenting. Okay. So parenting questions. And also, if you have older kids, I'd love to hear from you. I know someone actually said to me recently, do you just teach toddlers? No, actually, I specialize in teenagers. I started my business doing teen crisis work and abused children. That's what I worked with. It was all crisis work. That's what I specialized in. So now I came on TikTok and it's all been toddlers. And that seems to be because parents of toddlers are new. And it's also when you really come up against the difficult stuff. It's the first time you're dealing with difficult stuff and you're new and you have a lot of questions, right? Also, you make the mistake of thinking you can figure out a toddler. You can't figure them out. They're not figure-outable. They're just crazy. Well, they just haven't formed sanity yet. That's all. They haven't formed yet. Okay, so parenting questions. Okay, I've got one here on YouTube. My 1.5-year-old son is a climber. He loves to just, okay. There's 4 different things that they're either born to do and they're going to do or they're never going to do them. I have a hard time. Here we go. 4 annoying traits kids are born with or not. 1 is climbing. 1 is tantrums. 1 is aggressiveness. So they're either going to hit or they're never going to hit. And the other one is running. I think climbing's the worst because they can do that anywhere. They can do that at home and they can. I remember once years ago, I had a client and she was telling me, she said, I couldn't find I think it was an 18-month-old little girl, couldn't find her, looked everywhere. And this kid was a climber. She was ready to call the police, evidently. Finally, she was just about to call the police. She went in the kitchen and she heard giggling. The toddler was on top of the fridge. They had got their little toes. She had childproofing everywhere, but this little kid had got her toes in the drawers, climbed up the drawers, onto the counter, onto the bread maker, and then on top of the fridge. So yeah, what you've got to do is childproof your home as best as possible. Also, you can put bells on your kid so you know where they are, or bells on the things that they tend to climb with, or alarms. There's all sorts of things you can do. But yeah, they'll outgrow it, or they'll maybe have a fall one day and they'll learn maybe this isn't the thing to do. The problem is that you don't want the fall to be a big one, right? So yeah, climbing it's tricky. I think that's the worst one because you're at home. It's one of the hardest ones to control. If they're runners, you just put them on a harness, and as soon as they start to run, you clip them into the leash and you say no, and they have to earn their freedom. Tantrums, you just ignore them, and aggressiveness, you have consistent corrective actions. But climbing it's a tricky one. Sleep training an 18-month-old. I do have a bedtime battles course, but that really starts at 2. You could check that out. It might help. There's a lot of good advice in there. Otherwise, 18 months old, I'm assuming they're in a crib. So if they're still in a crib, what I would do is I would sit in their room at nighttime when you want them to go to sleep. Don't get in that crib with them. You sit in a chair beside their crib and you sit there in the dark or like a nightlight so they can see you. You can give them your hand. They can have your arm, so you can be patting them, or just put it in their crib and then look like you're falling asleep. Like you couldn't be more boring. So that's what you might pat them every so often, but then look sleepy, don't talk to them or anything. Just look like you couldn't be more boring. They'll eventually get so bored with you, they'll just fall asleep. It'll be hard. It's not going to be that easy, but it'll work. It usually works. I shouldn't say it'll work. It might not work, but it should. Okay. Oh yeah, you asked about this. Were you asking somewhere else? Do you have any thoughts about supporting a sibling, both 3, when another sibling is having a tantrum? It's hard to see her stressed when her sister is inconsolable. Well, you ignore tantrums, which means you got lots of other time with the other one. You don't have a party with the other one, but just pick her up or just read a book to that one that isn't tantruming. So yeah, because you ignore tantrums. So that gives you free time to spend with the other one. But the whole family suffers through tantrums. It's not something you can protect. You can't protect kids from everything. Unfortunately, tantrums are one of those things you can't protect them from. This was interesting. I read this. I haven't read this for a while, but it's in my notes that I've highlighted that I like to just throw out there every so often. This was Bill Maher and Jordan Peterson talking about kids. Now, I agree with some of this. I don't agree with everything they say. I think they're both really smart and a lot of different, but they don't know everything. And Bill Maher doesn't have kids, but that doesn't mean that he can't still comment on them. Anyway, this is what I think Bill Maher said this. He said, it was him. We're raising a generation of wimps. When you coddle and protect your kids from everything difficult, you are raising self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. Oh, sorry, that was mine. That was all mine. Bill Maher's comment was, they become emotional hemophiliacs. That was his. The first part was mine. When you raise a generation, we're raising a generation of wimps. You don't want to make everything easy for your kids. You want them to learn how to scrub a toilet, how to do their homework that they hate doing, how to, do stuff they hate doing. I taught my kids that you got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. Like my kids learned at a really young age, if they wanted to watch TV, they wouldn't even ask me until they'd done their chores, because they knew if they had asked me, if they'd said, can we watch TV? I would have said, sure, as soon as you've done your chores. They'd race around doing them, and then they'd watch TV. They learned you got to earn the fun stuff, right? Like, why would you try and make everything fun and easy for your kids? That's not reality. If you're trying to make everything fun and easy, how on earth are they going to cope with the world? Are they ever going to want to pay rent or clean an oven or pay taxes? Or you want to teach them it's okay to do yucky stuff. So anyway, yeah, that emotional hemophiliacs I thought was funny. It's so true. We're raising a generation of victims, and that's the pleaser parent style. I saw that coming 30 years ago. It started with the participation awards. First time I heard that, I couldn't believe my ears. I said, really? You turn up and you get an award? Really? Anyway, as I saw that coming, I thought, wow, self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. And it's a generation of victims. Not all of them. I'm exaggerating, but it's sort of frustrating for me. Um, yeah. So I'm just reading all these. Some of these are really good. And there are other parents have said some of these too. Some of my clients have said some of these comments that I think are worth repeating. Um, okay. Oh, this is a good one. This is actually a really good one. I should do a video on this. How do I deal with jealous sisters? My girls are 4 and 8. Sometimes they get mad if I'm talking to them. So one gets, oh, if I'm talking to their sibling. Yes. Okay. Uh, just a sec. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to do a video on it. And I'll also answer it here, though. Jealous sisters 4 and 8. Okay. I don't know why it's happened, but here's what I suggest you do to prevent it or to heal it. Is if they are jealous of each other, you want to work on their connection, their bond. And you don't force them on each other. What you do is, and I've said this a million times, when you want to get siblings to stop fighting and get along, you play with them together. Like you don't have one-on-one time with each one and time it. And a lot of parents do that. They think that's the way you fix it. Well, I worry because she gets jealous, so I'm going to spend 10 minutes with her and 10 that's the exact opposite of what you do. You're building resentment when you do one-on-one time. It's fine to do that when everything's going great, but if you've got some of that sibling rivalry or jealousy going on, you don't do any one-on-one time with the kids. Like you do everything together. So you say, okay, we're going to do this, and you do fun stuff. You don't do competitive games where there's a winner and a loser. You do fun things together. Okay, we are going to go to the park. We're going to have a race. We are going to do stuff with them. And the idea behind that too is that do stuff in their world that they're going to be. I used to do a lot of crazy stuff with kids. Like I'd play the Olympics with kids, stuff that I couldn't do as an adult, but they were great at. How many somersaults can we do down the hill? I'd do one and throw up, and they do 50 of them. So they were always winning and laughing at me because the whole idea is they connect when they laugh at their parents. So have fun with them. Do silly stuff in their world. Nothing competitive, just all fun and goofy stuff. And you'll start to see a difference in their relationship. How do I know that? Because lots of clients have said it works. It makes a big difference because they think if their kids aren't getting along, they've got to do the one-on-one time. It's the exact opposite of what you do. You build resentment by doing that. Even if you're doing it fair, 7.5 minutes with you, beep, beep, that's up, 7.5 minutes. They don't care. They hate that other kid while you're spending time with them. That's what you're literally building. You're building that resentment. So does that help? A lot of my clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists, and they often say to me, why didn't I think of that? How can I run a whole school? Or how can I have all these clients? And I think because the parent-child relationship is personal. It's different from every other relationship. Like I couldn't do their jobs. I'd soil myself if I had to get up in front of a class like and teach. I couldn't do it. So a parent-child relationship is it's personal. There's nothing like it. It is personal. So, yeah. But does that make sense? Like my kids were 5 years apart, a boy and a girl. How much did they have in common, right? My daughter loved to dance. My son loved computer games or PlayStation games. Well, but boy, they connected laughing at mom. And there was a lot to laugh at. I was very goofy. So yeah, that was how they connected. Was they were like together laughing at mom. I'd often see them look at each other like this, like like at crazy stuff I would do. So yeah. There you go. Okay. Yes, that makes sense. Thank you. You're right. I always try to do some one-on-one. I'll change it up. Yeah, you see what you were doing. You were building it, making it worse. But that's not your fault. Like a lot of my clients are child psychologists and they do that. So it's just, but it's parent-child relationship is different, right? Check out the link above, by the way, if you want to get my free behavior board. It can take up to 10 minutes to get to you. So, every single day I get emails, I didn't get the behavior board. And then I'll get another email, oh, it came. So it takes a few minutes because I've got like a third-party delivery system with that. It's just the way my courses and that are all set up. So yeah, it just takes it's a bit of a delay. So the behavior board is a delay. If you sign up for it, give it 10 minutes, and if it doesn't turn up after 10 minutes, then you can let me know. Anyway, and I've never had anyone who doesn't get it. So it does work. There was only one person, they were in a different country and they swore up and down they didn't get it. And then they checked in, I think it came in their junk email or something. That shouldn't do that. It's all set up. It shouldn't do that. but I think that's what happened. So check around. Anyway, and then the mini toddler courses, they're the most popular one is the potty training one. It's a whole system how you potty train. And then the second most popular one is the tantrum one. And then there's the big boot camp course, and then one-on-one coaching with me. I won't be coaching forever. I'm getting old now. I don't know how much longer I'll do it. Plus, I got grandkids coming. I'll be doing a lot of daycaring and all that. So you need the age. Your kid keeps hitting you and laughing. What are they, 16, 6 months? You know, I need an age with that. She's going to ask you their age. She said, oh, oh, thanks, Rosie. Good one. Okay, that was very funny because I got a lot of regular people in here. Anyway, yeah, if you've got a 2-year-old who hits, check out my Toddlers Who Hit course, but it's just about consistent corrective actions. Every time they hit, the first time they hit, you say no, and you take their hand, you sort of push it away. You're not shoving them across the room, but you just say no, and you sort of push them away. Then when they go to hit, watch them like a hawk. When they go to hit again, you grab their hand before they hit, and you say no. And then you let go and walk away. Okay, just go about your bit. Don't let go and then run away. Just let go and then go about your business. If they come to hit again, do it again. Might take 50 times, it might take 150 times. They learn through consistent corrective actions. You know what though? You do it 10 times in a row, and then the 11th time you don't, they're gonna get worse again. They remember your failures. They remember the time you didn't do it. It has to be consistent. That's why you only pick one battle at a time. One bad behavior you're going to correct at a time, because it takes a lot of energy. You've got to be 100% consistent with that. Thanks for that, Rosie. That was good. I like that. Okay. Over emotional, what do I do? Okay. Okay. When kids are, okay, I've worked with hundreds of kids, and I never worked with an easy kid, a calm kid. Not once, not ever. No one ever said to me, here's an easy one, Lisa. They all went, good luck with this one. Teenagers, whatever age. When you're a calm leader, it calms them down. Calm leaders calm children down because they feel safe. They feel like they know what's coming. You're predictable. You're consistent. You're fun. You like them. They like themselves when they're with you. Work on your leadership skills, and it calms them down. There's exceptions if they have some bipolar or something. I don't think that kicks in until later. But there are some situations where it's not going to work. But even then, it's still better to be a calm leader. So, but generally that's the idea. When you're a calm leader, because I've worked with hundreds of kids, and they do, when they're with me, I always manage to get respect, and they do tend to calm down. And then their mom comes to pick them up, and they're Tasmanian devils again. So it's calm leadership. It's never about the kids. It's always about you. You know why? Because even though some kids are more challenging than others, you always have to blame yourself. Like when I was working with kids and they acted out, usually if they didn't know me that well and they were getting to know me, I never blamed them. I always thought, what am I missing here? What am I doing wrong? As a leader, you always blame yourself. You always take responsibility. Plus, you take credit too. When they're good, I take the credit for that too, by the way. I take the blame and the credit. So I work my butt off so I can get some credit and not just blame. So yeah, leadership it's everything. It's everything. You lead, they will follow. With troubled teenagers or teens in crisis, or if you're really struggling with your teenager, it's not quite that simple. That's why it's all coaching. I don't have a course on that yet. But yeah, you have to really connect with them first, and you have to understand teenagers, and that's a whole other process. It's still doable, but you want them to not want to disappoint you. They don't want to please you so much when they're teenagers. You don't want that. But you do want them to care what you think and not want to disappoint you. Okay? I love doing these lives. I love talking to your parents. It's very it's calming to me because I'm very maternal. So this just, I don't have, my kids are grown, right? So this gets out all my maternal stuff. Okay. I'm struggling with bedtime. He turned 2 in September. Okay. Okay. He stays awake for 2 hours before falling asleep. I'm suggesting, is he still napping? Maybe he's getting too much sleep during the day. Maybe you're putting him to bed too early. I don't know. Maybe he's getting too much sleep. Also, check out my bedtime battles course. That's in the link above, and it teaches you how to get them to bed and how to keep them there. So it might help. And by the way, those mini toddler courses, they are mini courses. They all started out way bigger than they are now. I cut them way back just to keep them as simple as possible. I sometimes get complaints there's not enough in there. Other complaints that there's too much in there, but I hope they don't say they're too much. I don't want it to be overwhelming. I don't put extra stuff in there. So the bedtime battles is just about bedtime. The tantrum is just about tantrums because I've kept them very streamlined. The big course is not like that at all. The 3 to 12-year-old, that's completely different. But the little mini toddler ones, the bedtime one, it's just about bedtime. Because sometimes people will buy that course or buy another course. But what about this? What about mealtime and that? It's just about bedtime. So they're very niche specific. Okay. Okay. I can't answer this, but I will point to a couple of questions that you want to ask yourself. My 3-year-old is having issues at daycare with having tantrums and throwing things, hitting. There's usually 2 reasons for that. One is that they get away with murder at home, and then they are the same way when they're at daycare. Okay, or they get everything they want. You cater to their own way. You're a pleaser parent. You give in to all their demands at home, so that when they hit daycare, and you say they're really good at home, that's because you're giving in to all their demands. Daycare is not going to do that. So they put up a stink because you are giving in to all their demands. So they're either terrors in both places, or if they're wonderful at home and awful at daycare, it's maybe you're giving in to all their demands. You're not a leader at home. So when they come up against a leader at daycare, they fight back. So that's usually, there's exceptions, but that's usually the case. Usually those 2 reasons. So think about that. Which one is it? 15-month-old. Oh, okay. You're asking me, you're trying to figure them out. Why? I always say, you can't figure out toddlers. They're not figure outable. I don't know why they do stuff. They do all sorts of crazy stuff. You can't figure them out. If they say no to everything, just ignore it. Why would you give that any attention? Like, don't give the stuff you don't like any attention, and take physical action if you want them to do something. Say, come on, we're going out now, and they run the other direction. Don't say anything else. Just go and pick them up and carry them out. Take action. You don't repeat yourself. You say something once. If they take off and run, take action. Come here, I said, come here. I said, you look like a wimp, and they're not going to listen to you. So if I say, come on, we're heading out the door, and the kids run the other direction, they know they just wouldn't, because they knew mom would come and get them. They knew when I said something, it was going to happen. So they just knew. There was no anger. No, it was just like, come on, we're leaving. So they knew we're leaving, and they would just leave, like they just understood. Bit different with their father. He might have chased them and maybe played a game with them trying to get them out, but yeah. He does nap for 3 hours. Yeah, wake him up after an hour and a half. There you go. Is he going to be cranky? Yeah. Yeah. You might do it after 2 hours, and then an hour and a half, and then an hour. Both my kids stopped regular napping at 12 months old. Both of them. They had accidental naps, not every day though. But they weren't super active kids either, though. They were actually quite easy kids. But yeah, people seem to think, well, I think the moms want them to have a nap, right? But they don't all need naps. They're all different, though. Kicking, screaming, and crying. I don't know how old. Are they 16? 16 years, 16 months? I don't know how old they are. Because I know you think it's a toddler channel, but it isn't. I actually specialize in teenagers, so it can be all ages. Just because the questions are all toddlers stuff, but that's not my business. My business, I actually started dealing with crisis work, kids who were abused and teenagers who were delinquent and all that. That's how I started my business. Oh, thank you so much. I don't know what we're just talking about that. I have someone who works with me, and we're just talking about a good tagline for my style of parenting. I always call it leadership parenting, but really it's just no nonsense, common sense. It's just, there's nothing fancy about it. I don't know what to call it. Is it just leadership? But leadership, no one really quite knows what that means. That's the thing, but it's just common sense. I do understand kids. I always did. I started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11 years old. And even the daycare workers used to say, how do you get respect? Because you're fun and the kids listen to you. I was a good leader. I was 11. That's why I was at daycare centers. I loved kids. I always understood kids. So yeah, there's nothing fancy about it. It's just understanding, you meet their needs and manage their wants. That's all it is. Meet their needs and manage their wants. Then you want to be fun. You lead with fun and connecting and bonding. I was the babysitter who never watched TV. I was the babysitter who was always playing with the kids. So of course I got good behavior out of them, because if they acted out, I'd say, fine, I'm not playing for the next minute. Okay. And then I'd just sit there humming for a minute, and then they wouldn't act out for the rest of the night. That's how I disciplined kids when I was babysitting. They were always confused. I never got angry, but I got good behavior out of them. So it's just common sense. But I studied it. Okay, I wanted to figure out kids from a very young age. Any tips on 5 and 7-year-old? Keep asking the same question after you answered them. 5, 6, and 7. Say, I already answered that. Ask again. There might be a consequence. Because if it's a real problem and they're being disrespectful, ask again. There might be a consequence. How about no TV tonight or something? I would, if it's a real problem. Yeah, I would say that. Any tips for toddler sleep? I have a bedtime battles course, which is from 2 to 8 years old. It goes into there's 2 parts: how to get them to bed, and then how to keep them there. How to keep them there is the hard part. I don't teach nannying. I only teach parenting, parent-child relationships. Can I say this? Yeah, I think I can. I get hired by a lot of, how do I put this? People who, you would know who they are, put it that way. And they often have a lot of nannies. And they often want to bring the nannies in on the coaching. And I don't like that. I don't like it. Because I teach parenting, I don't teach nannying. They can tell the nannies what to do if they want to later on. But yeah. And when you're got that kind of money, they often have 3 nannies per child. So, because they work in 8-hour shifts, nannies do. So think about it. If they have 3 kids, they have 9 nannies. Isn't that amazing? And I often say, why'd you hire me? You don't even have to parent. But yeah, I don't teach to nannies. And I always say, but if you asked as if you were a parent, then I would answer. How do you introduce and handle the arrival of a baby brother to a 3-year-old girl? You don't really. You cannot prepare a young child for how their life is going to change. It is impossible. You can get them a little doll. You can have them as involved as you want. I'll tell you a funny story. It's not that funny, but it's true. My son was about 2 probably. And I had a friend who, she also had a little boy around 2. And they were both very gentle boys. Neither of our boys hit or anything. They were very gentle. And so that's why we saw a lot of each other, because our boys were very similar. They were very, just sweet little boys. And anyway, she had a gorgeous little new baby girl. And behind our backs, her 2-year-old went in the baby's room, picked up the baby out of the bassinet, brand new 1-week-old baby, and threw it on the floor. And he didn't understand. To him, it's just a doll that screams and takes his mommy and daddy away from him. You can't really prepare them for it. You just can't. I don't know what to tell you. They'll eventually get used to it. So long as they understand that they're still important. You can do all the normal stuff, normal advice that you hear. Make sure you still take them out and do stuff with them. But yeah, it's a big adjustment for them. Imagine if your husband said, by the way, I'm bringing home another wife. You'll get used to her. Like, you probably never would, but it's kind of like that. It's a jolt. Okay, it's a little bit different, but I kind of use humor there. But you get my point. Well, even if you don't, I got my point. Yeah. Oh, okay. This is a very easy question to answer. You said, I'm from Indonesia. How do I manage my 6-year-old daughter who always does things slowly, even delay it? Put a time limit on it. Say, okay, you have to do your chores by 10 a.m. every morning. If she doesn't, there's a consequence. So she has to make her bed by 10 o'clock every morning. So that sort of covers the weekends too. That's why I usually say, so it has to be done before school, but also on weekends if they get up later. So if she doesn't, then she has to make your bed the next day also. And if she doesn't do that, then you take something away, 24-hour media blackout. So put a time limit on it. Say, okay, after you eat, you have to have your dishes in the dishwasher within 10 minutes after eating. And then start timers. Use timers. They're your best friend. Makes you look like a leader, like you know what you're doing. School uses alarms. There's alarm bells. They don't just say turn up when you want. We want you here around 9. If you don't turn up, it's okay. You see, we all like routine, structure, and habits and all that stuff. Children thrive on it. So make it a routine, make it a structure, use timers, use time limits. Yeah, that will help. Okay, my time is up. I've done an hour now. I do a half hour on Instagram and then a half hour on TikTok. Go to my link above if you want to get my behavior board. Remember, wait for it. When you first sign up for it, it might take 10 minutes to arrive. I have like a third-party delivery system going. It's the one that works best for my company. You should see all the emails I get. I didn't get the behavior board. I signed up, then they emailed me back. Oh, it came. Give it a few minutes. It'll arrive. Anyway, that's completely free, the behavior board. The mini toddler courses, they're there too. They're not free. The big course, the boot camp course, 3 to 12 years old, that's teaching you how to be a leader in 5 weeks. And then coaching one-on-one with me. That's done usually 1 Zoom per week. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'll be back again on Tuesday night, probably before then, but Tuesday night is my next scheduled live. So thanks very much for joining me, and we'll talk soon. Bye now.